Hi everyone, welcome back to the Stilyo App's channel. This is Ruth, and today I have the pleasure to be joined by Alex from JD.com. Alex is a director at JD, as well as the co-founder of the JD and Shopify partnership and the head of JD sourcing. Alex actually grew up, born and raised in the beautiful San Francisco, and in 2017, after working in Silicon Valley in the internet industry, he decided to move to Beijing to study there. After graduating, Alex started working at JD.com, the largest retailer in China. And he went from knowing zero Chinese to negotiating partnerships and deals in fluent Chinese, which is pretty cool. The secret to learning Chinese is speaking to the local taxi drivers. By the way, this is something that I love doing when I'm abroad as well, so I'm with you there. Thank you for joining me, Alex. And for those of our viewers who are not familiar with JD, can you give a brief introduction?
Sure, Ruth. So first of all, happy to be here. And yeah, definitely, I will say again, recommend talking to the local taxi drivers in any country you go to, especially if you want to learn the local language, because they're so bored that even if you're just spewing, in my case, spewing out garbage Chinese, they're like, okay, this is entertainment. You know, it's better than nothing. So they'll be very kind to you. Yeah, and Ruth, to tell, for anyone that's not familiar with JD.com, we're listed on the NASDAQ, but we are a very, Chinese company in terms of our business. So a brief intro is you could think of JD, if you're thinking from maybe a Western point of view, JD is similar to like Amazon, but in China. And, most people would think, oh, well, what is Alibaba? Alibaba is more similar to eBay in terms of how they operate their business. So to give a sense of what that means, eBay is a pure marketplace where you're connecting buyers and sellers, whereas Amazon, they actually have their own first-party retail business, as well as having third-party sellers on the site. And Amazon actually manages their own supply chain and logistics, as well as having this platform. So JD and Alibaba kind of in China are very similar in terms of how they compete with each other. So JD has about 30% of the market share in China e-commerce, to give everyone a sense of that. And then when we're thinking about going international, because that's kind of the China business, we're thinking about building off of our core strengths. So, I'm a director, but on the international business side. And whenever we're doing something with international, we're really looking to use the supply chain logistics capability, giving those services to other businesses, as opposed to selling direct to a consumer.
Okay, thank you so much for the introduction. That's very interesting. And I think one platform that all of our viewers are going to be familiar with is Shopify. And a few weeks ago, the Shopify and JD.com strategic partnership was announced, and it was huge news. Can you share a little bit about why the two companies decided to partner and what you're planning to do together?
Yeah, sure. So actually, before I was, managing the JD Shopify partnership and my team was building that, we were actually looking at a lot of different partnerships, basically thinking about how can JD expand internationally by working with key, international partners. And when we started talking with Shopify, it was very interesting. We were seeing so many opportunities that the biggest question kind of became, what do we do first? Because you can't do everything all at once. And, the reason why there were so many opportunities, I think, is because Shopify and JD just have a lot of synergies together. And that's why we ultimately decided to partner. So when you think about a company like Shopify, they have this amazing service for merchants. They have this amazing ecosystem with developers like Stilyo Apps that are investing lots of resources into building their own businesses on top of the Shopify platform. And that's why you have millions of merchants, whether it's brands, professional brands, or whether it's entrepreneurs just getting started that are using Shopify. And so that's very attractive to JD when we're thinking about, we have, our big e-commerce business in China, but we don't really know how to do D2C outside of China. And so we're thinking about, okay, well, how can we use our strengths partnered with Shopify? Well, the first thing is Shopify has so many of these incredible brands like that we've all heard of, right? So you have like the Gymsharks of the world, for example. And many of those are still not selling in China simply because it's a little difficult. It's actually very difficult. It can take them maybe a year to get set up in China and start selling. So the first thing we did is we said, well, how can we connect those brands to our China marketplace? And so we set up an app, which is now in the App Store. It's live as a couple of weeks ago, called JD Marketplace. This is basically allowing Shopify's very professional, mature brands to import into China. And then the second thing that we looked at was, okay, well, JD is China's largest B2B supplier, an e-commerce logistics operator. So we really think about using the supply chain and logistics when we're thinking about going overseas and exporting. And at the same time, Shopify has millions of small, medium-sized entrepreneurs that are using Shopify. And so we're thinking, okay, well, this is an opportunity for us to give them better supply chain services, to make it simple for them to, focus on their business, focus on customers, because we're taking care of supply chain. So that's why we decided to launch JD Sourcing, which is the platform that I'm owning.
I think it's beautiful that you decided to kind of serve both sides of the spectrum as far as e-commerce, both the big brands that are looking to expand to new markets. And I think the Asian market is really on a incline in the past few years, and it's going to continue going there. So you're giving them an opportunity. And then on the other hand, you're there also for the smaller merchants, the one who are just getting started. They don't have a warehouse, they're drop shipping, and they need these services.
Absolutely. Yeah, people forget that China is the biggest e-commerce market in the world.
Yeah,
actually, but it remains so inaccessible for Western brands. So we saw a huge opportunity there as well.
Yeah, definitely. I can see it. But as far as JD Sourcing, it's basically one of the platforms that you're launching with Shopify. And it is going to allow merchants to drop ship and source products using your suppliers and your logistics. But there are a lot of dropshipping services out there in the market, especially in the Shopify ecosystem, which is very extensive. Why do merchants need another one?
Yeah, great question. And we thought a lot about, do we want to go into this space? And we, interviewed lots of merchants before deciding to take that step. Traditionally, when JD is giving supply chain services to international companies, up until now, it's been serving Fortune 500 companies. So for example, Walmart is an investor in JD, and we manage a lot of their supply chain going out of China. And so when we're thinking about serving small, medium-sized enterprises, it's a very different set of needs. So let's talk about, drop shippers first, because that's one of maybe two key types of merchants that we'll work with in JD Sourcing. So when we're talking with drop shippers, before we decided to build JD Sourcing, what we're hearing from people is generally that, the professional drop shippers, they are really good at finding new product ideas, testing them maybe through AliExpress most of the time. And that's just because there's so many products on there. And then what we found is that, that works well for them. Once these merchants are finding a product that actually starts selling well for them, then they typically have the same issues consistently, which could be, I'm getting slow shipping times, the supplier's unreliable, sometimes even fake tracking numbers. And the reason is, again, going back to Alibaba is a platform connecting buyers and sellers. So it's kind of on the drop shipper side to vet the supplier. And so, what we found working with drop shippers since we launched our service in Q4 is that, we can provide merchants the same product they're already selling from AliExpress, but it'll be with faster shipping, better pricing, more stable supply chain. So it's a pretty easy transition for those merchants. They can even keep using AliExpress to test and then, give their best-selling products to us to fulfill later. And, when we're thinking about at the same time, you have these products that are kind of traditional drop shipping products. Maybe AliExpress works well for finding those, but there are also a lot of product categories that you can't really find on there that are doable to drop ship, but you need to have more extensive logistics and supply chain capability. So I'll give one example of that would be bulky products that you need to hold in the US. You're not going to ship across the border. For example, something like furniture, something that's heavy, something that has oftentimes electronics standards that need to be met. A lot of drop shippers were telling us they would love to sell high priced items, but they can't find a good supplier for it. Or if it's electronics, they're not sure if a drop shipping supplier is really giving them something that will work. Maybe it's going to not work, or maybe it's going to burn someone's house down because it didn't have the right, standards set. So there's a lot of challenges in the drop shipping industry. And these are things where JD, now we're actually supplying, big bulky products, electronics. These are things that we can do because we have, extensive logistics network, warehouses in the US and Europe, as well as the supplier network in China to make it happen. The other type of brand that we see using JD sourcing, we'll call them more advanced merchants. Maybe they're thinking about actually, starting to buy their own inventory instead of drop shipping. And usually they're doing this because they have to, not because they want to. It's because they feel like the drop shipping supplier is going to be burning their customers. And, a merchant at some point, if they want to take a step to the next level, you can't be burning your customers. You have to think about, how do I get them coming back for more, for repeat purchases? And so, these merchants are buying inventory, maybe through Alibaba.com or some other channel, and holding it. They'd probably rather have that cash flow, freed up to use for advertising, but they have to invest in inventory because they don't see another option. So for those types of more advanced merchants, we're also able to provide drop shipping that's more stable. Maybe we're putting this product in a private product zone so other drop shippers can't sell it. These are the types of product features that we built into JD sourcing because we're hearing a need in the market. So, and we're just getting started. There are a lot more things that I want to do that we haven't built into the platform yet. So stay tuned for more.
I love a lot of the things that you said. I used to drop ship myself for a short time, and I did dropship from AliExpress, which is basically the eBay of Alibaba. And all of the problems you mentioned, I felt. There were long shipping times. The products didn't always come as advertised, even though I checked them before and ordered them for myself to see that they're okay. And then a lot of the times, the things that you hear from people, from customers, is that dropshipping is a scam. And as a dropshipper, you're not looking to scam people. You're looking to start a business in an affordable way and actually serve people. So I think what JD is doing is really giving the tools to these people who maybe don't have big budgets. They don't have a team. They don't have the capacity right now to build a business from scratch with a warehouse and everything, but they still want to give high quality products with fast shipping times to their customers. And that's really the kind of the thing that is missing a lot of the times when you first start drop shipping.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I also think that I think the whole idea of kind of treating the drop shippers as business owners from day one, they're not just someone playing around. They have some needs and they need to be treated seriously as business owners because they have to answer to their customers, which is again another big drawback when you are basically ordering from AliExpress. They don't care that you're a drop shipper. They don't know. You're just another customer ordering something from them. So I think that's really great insight into the world of drop shipping and how JD can improve it.
Yeah, it is interesting that I'm not sure if most drop shippers know this, but AliExpress was not started to drop ship. It just was kind of an accident. Actually, Oberlo is, I think, the first company that figured out, and now they're owned by Shopify, but they figured out, we can let people drop ship, through AliExpress, and they just made a tool to make it easy. But it wasn't like Alibaba planned to have a drop shipping platform there. So you see kind of some of the issues with that over time.
Yeah, exactly. I order from AliExpress all the time. Like before dropshipping was even a thing, I used to order from AliExpress. So I was very surprised that it's also used for dropshipping when I first found out. You also mentioned something about helping to serve your customers and the merchants to really create the best businesses that they can. And I love that. In Reconvert, that's also our number one goal. We are focused on helping people build better businesses and retain customers so that they can actually grow and not just focus on chasing the first time sale all the time. What can you share from your experience from your most successful customers? Can you share some tips of what you see them doing that works best?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think whether they are I'll call them a professional dropshipper, they just prefer to manage their inventory that way, or whether they're one of these kind of emerging brands that are actually holding inventory that maybe wants to try dropshipping again with us because they think we're a reliable partner. I tend to see a few trends with the most successful merchants that we're working with. I think maybe three things. The first is that all of these merchants, they know how to build out a portfolio of products. So it's not just one product, but they actually know how to increase the lifetime value of a customer over time by selling them multiple products. So that's number one. Number two, I think they're experts in marketing and, optimizing their conversion rates so that they get the first sale, and they're not blowing advertising dollars. But then number three, they're really good at optimizing, whether it's supply chain, after sales, so that users are happy and they're kind of telling their friends about this product, they come back to buy again. So I think that, post-purchase optimization tools like Reconvert are pretty much a no-brainer that every mature, merchant that I see, they're using either Reconvert or another tool like it, because they are helping merchants capture that extra revenue that's basically low-hanging fruit after you've already done the hardest part, which is getting that customer to check out, right? That's where you spent maybe when you're getting started, 30% of your revenue is going into that part of the funnel. So you have to be able to upsell and, convert more, future purchases there. I think the smartest merchants are using a tool like Reconvert, along with tools like JD Sourcing, which can help them find the products they want to sell. So, that is kind of to optimize their product portfolio, optimize their cart size and conversion rates. I think I could give you an example of that. Can I just share screen real quick, Ruth?
Yes, of course. Let me give you.
Here, yeah, let me just show everyone what I would be talking about with a quick JD Sourcing demo.
Go ahead. You can share now.
Okay. Okay, so this is the homepage of JD Sourcing. And so just real briefly for everyone that hasn't seen it before, there are a couple of things that you can do on here. This Find Products tab is basically, you're browsing for products that JD already has in its catalog. So, let's say you came on here and you really want fast shipping times. So you're okay, I want to look at these ship from US products. And, we have maybe a few hundred of those that are in our US warehouse right now available for drop shipping. And let's say you find something cool like this bike, and you're thinking this is a very interesting product. It's hard to find elsewhere. So there's going to be competitive barriers if I can sell that. And you're thinking about, okay, well, this would be an interesting product to sell. The smartest merchants are looking at this and saying, what can I sell along with this electric bike, this electric mountain bike, as maybe an accessory, an upsell, so that when a customer is checking out, they're buying the bike, but maybe they forgot to buy a replacement battery, for example, or maybe they forgot to buy a helmet. You could, merchants are more creative than I am. You could think of many other product examples. There's maybe, for every single product in this list, you could probably come up with a number of accessories that would be a good upsell product. Mm-hmm. So then the way that you ask for that product, you can search, does JD have a battery for that bike in the search tab? We don't yet, but we can pretty much find anything that you'd be looking for. So the smart merchants are going here to request products. And when you request a product, you basically just, click here and you tell us what you're looking for. And then JD will get feedback to you within a couple of business days. And so if we can find the battery for this bike, well, now that's a much more valuable customer, because maybe if, 1 in 3 or 1 in 4 do buy the battery, and your advertising is much more effective as a result. And so I think that, the smartest merchants, they are thinking about their product portfolio strategy and how they're going to be optimizing that post-purchase in advance. and they can use a tool like Reconvert to upsell the battery with the bike. So that's just to give you, a brief demo. We see that kind of, behavior with our best merchants. And I think it's really good to share best practices with merchants so that they can, build their businesses better.
Yeah, I agree. I think that when you really want to build a successful business, you have to focus on returning customers. If you only get one sale from each customer, you're gonna basically, like you said in the beginning, burn out of customers. They're gonna run out at some point. And not to mention that they cost more to acquire, they spend less than returning customers. There are all these statistics out there that help you decide to focus on it. And I think the first thing, if you really want to retain customers, is that the product needs to be good. If you do all the tactics in the world with marketing and post-purchase upselling and everything, but the product at the end is not good, customers are not going to buy again. They need to have a good experience. So it's really a combination of the two things, of doing these marketing tactics and upselling and increasing the average order value, but also making sure that your service is good and your product is good. And I just want to I feel like I need to maybe repeat and make sure that our viewers who are watching this understand. JD sourcing can help you basically source whatever product you need, even if it's not on the platform currently. And if you're having any doubts, remember this is the biggest retailer in China. They can probably find most of the, if not all of the products you're looking for. I really think this can be a game changer for a lot of dropshippers. And I hope it gets the buzz that it deserves, because it is exciting to be a dropshipper and be able to use a service like this without any kind of a prior commitment to.
Yeah, thanks for saying that, Ruth. And you're absolutely right. We realize that, when we're talking about what does AliExpress do well, is that they already have, lots of products on there. And that's just not something that JD can copy from day one, or even that we would want to. We have, more difficult supply chain in some cases, like an electronic mountain bike, something that, maybe you're not going to find on AliExpress. And so what we have done is allowed, merchants to source what they're looking for. And we can source most anything in China with our army of sourcing agents here. So I think that's something that, our merchants is probably their favorite feature.
Yeah, I can imagine. So JD sourcing is already offering a lot, but what is the future going to hold? What are the plans for the future?
Yeah, good question. Like I said at the start of the call, there's always, when we're working with Shopify and we've had so many, opportunities there that it's just a matter of what do we want to do next. I think up until now with JD sourcing, like we just mentioned, sourcing is a favorite feature of our users. And then, the other thing that's quite popular is when merchants are already selling a product well on AliExpress, then they can start sourcing that from JD. So it's the same product, but, better pricing, faster shipping, more stable supply chain than what they're used to. So that's kind of our current business. And, we have a small, but I would say a very nice product pool in Vine products that people can sell, including US products. What I'm excited about and what I'm working on right now is getting more and more of JD's supplier network online with JD sourcing. So, more products that are already in the US. In the near future, we'll have more products that are already in the UK and Europe that are drop shippable. And maybe there'll be, lots of big bulky products that are hard to find elsewhere. So we see this as something that we can do that's just, building something new in the Shopify ecosystem that will be valuable for merchants, help them sell categories that they can't normally sell. And just in general, building up more stock, whether it's in the US, EU, or whether it's in our China warehouses as well. So things like the e-bike, things like the wine coolers that we're currently offering on there. These are cool products, and we want to bring a lot more on. And so that's over the next couple of months, I think, things that we have to look forward to.
That's awesome. I really think during this conversation, I really understood how natural it is that there's this partnership between JD and Shopify, because the mission is kind of similar. It's to make becoming a merchant so much easier. It's make it accessible to anyone. And Shopify does it on the platform side, and you guys do it on the sourcing and supply chain side. So I love that. I'm sure a lot of our viewers are looking forward to kind of testing JD sourcing out. Is there a usage fee, and how can they get started?
Yeah, good question. No, there's no membership fee. You just create a free business account going to sourcing.jd.com. I think that we'll probably put a link in the show notes. Yeah. And then you just register with JD Sourcing, then connect your Shopify store with the Shopify app. And then from there, if you want to start selling products that are in our pool, you can start selling them in 3 clicks. So it's very easy to get started. Or tell us about your best idea for sourcing, and we'll get back to you in a couple of days.
Awesome. And can they just install the app and create the account from there, or do they have to go to jd.com first?
Well, I think we'll provide the link in the sourcing notes, and that will help people to go through the process.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so thank you so much for sharing your information here. I think this is going to be very valuable to a lot of viewers, because like I mentioned, dropshipping can be very difficult on the sourcing side, and this can really help get better products to the customers and actually grow in the business. So
yeah, Ruth, and I love what you were saying about, serving entrepreneurs and not just the big brands. I think both are important, but my career, even in Silicon Valley before I came to China, was also focused on working with entrepreneurs and small, medium-sized enterprises and helping them do business. And that's the core of the economy worldwide. And so I think that it's, we're always looking for ways to lower the barrier to entry for people to do business in a good way. And so really excited to be, launching this platform, and hope everyone checks it out.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you again so much for joining me. I had a great time talking to you, and I'm sure the viewers had a great time listening. And everyone, check out JD Sourcing in the links down below, and we will see you in the next video.
Great. Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you.